The man could no longer stand how the magical girls dragged out their monster fights. Furious, he decided to become a magical girl himself. In this world, monsters appeared frequently, and the only ones capable of defeating them were magical girls. This had already become common knowledge to everyone. However, magical girls mostly relied on long-range magic attacks in battle, yet most monsters came equipped with magical shields. As a result, the girls had no choice but to kite the monsters, running them around the city until the shields wore down, before striking the final blow. Every battle ended up wrecking half the city, causing massive property damage for the citizens. Still, the magical girls would strike the same old comfort pose to calm everyone down. And with the Bureau of Paranormal Affairs constantly delaying compensation, very few citizens ever dared to complain. But this time, Jiangxi finally snapped because the magical girls had kited away his beloved little motorcycle. Just then, a clueless contractor named Amy Owl mistook him for a girl and asked if he wanted to become a magical girl, complete with full benefits, free meals, and a government-backed iron rice bowl. Realizing Jiangxi was actually a boy, Amy O intended to walk away, but there was no way Jiangxi would let such a golden opportunity slip by. After some heavy-handed threats and coaxing, Jiangxi forced Amy O to hand over a magical heart. The magical heart was said to sense the inner desires of young girls and awaken their magical potential. It should have been useless on a boy, but somehow it reacted to Jiangxi. In a burst of dazzling lights and flashy effects, Jiangxi transformed into a magical girl. The moment he completed his transformation, his first thought was to show the monster what true cruelty really meant. Meanwhile, the pink-haired magical girl had fallen into a desperate situation. Her foot was pinned under a slab of stone, and with no way out, she prepared to ignite her magical heart and drag the monster into death with her. At that moment, Jiangxi dashed forward. Seeing the white-haired boy appear, the pink-haired girl thought reinforcements had finally arrived. But then she noticed the cross symbol on his head, clearly the mark of a support-type rookie. She cried out in panic, "Get out of here! That's a B3 class mutant beast. Even I, a veteran magical girl, can't handle it. Don't throw your life away as a newbie." But the monster didn't care whether he was support or offense. Its charged fist was already crashing down. Jiangxi, calm and collected, easily sidestepped the blow. Using the monster's body as leverage, he leapt up and landed on its head. He clasped his hands together and conjured a spear of thunder judgment, launching it straight at the beast with a deafening boom under the shock gazes of the pink-haired girl and the contractor. The monster's body was pierced straight through by the thunderous spear. Amy Owl was dumbfounded. First transformation, and he just one-shot a B3 class mutant beast? Wasn't he supposed to be a healer support? Jiangxi shrugged. Taking down the enemy is the best support, isn't it? Then he casually socked Amy O in the face, adding coldly, "I can't stand people who talk in cutesy tones, especially ending every sentence with meow." Amy Owl bristled with fury. "Listen, now that you're a magical girl, you must obey your contractor. That means me. Those are the rules, meow. Don't think being strong makes you the boss here. And remember, your magic has no effect on contractors." But after Jiangxi's round of tough love education, Amiao quickly realized who the real boss was. Reluctantly, he pulled out every single valuable he had on him. Jiangxi picked up a keycard and asked, "What's this?" Amy O explained, hurriedly, "That's a dorm card for magical girls. Every city bureau provides official housing for them, and contractors live there too for supervision. Of course, not for someone of your stature, meow." Jiangxi thought to himself, perfect. He had no place to stay, and now that he was a magical girl, he could just move into the dorm without bothering to hear Amy O's protests. He grabbed the little contractor and forced him to lead the way to the dormitory. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl, finally free, was frantically searching for Jiangxi. She still couldn't believe a rookie who had just joined could slay a high-level mutant beast. With no trace of him in sight, she decided to absorb the monster's magic first and return it to him later. Then it hit her. Where was Mr. Bobby? According to protocol, a contractor had to be present during absorption to scan and confirm the kill. On the other side, Jiangxi was soaring toward the dormitory with a meow in tow. Didn't the news say all contractors can fly? Why are you scared of heights? Individual differences, meow. We're here, boss. It's the pink-roofed building below. Spotting the target, Jiangxi immediately swooped down for a landing. Amiao exhaled in relief, finally touching solid ground. By the time they arrived at the magical girl's dormitory, Jiangxi's transformation had already faded. Seeing how luxurious the magical girl's dormitory was, Jiangxi nodded in satisfaction, but Amiao panicked. "You can't change back. Your identity as a male must never be exposed, meow." Among contractors, there was an ancient prophecy. One day, an extremely self-centered and violent male would awaken the magical heart, something that should only respond to females. Empowered by it, he would ultimately bring destruction to the entire world. Jiangxi, I thought for a moment and muttered, extremely self-centered and violent. Doesn't sound like me. Amy Al pressed on. Either way, you must never be discovered. If anyone finds out, the entire contractor world and the magical girls will come hunting you down, and I, the one who gave you the magical heart, will be dragged down with you. With that, he whipped out a labor contract for magical girls and shoved it into Jiangxi's hands. Please sign this retroactively. Meow. Normally, the contract should be signed before transformation, but if you sign now, we can officially register you in the bureau system, and it'll be easier to keep your identity hidden. On her way home, the pink-haired girl received a message from Amy Al. It confirmed that Jean Sai had been assigned as a new magical girl and warned her that the new recruit was shy, so she should avoid too much interaction. Delighted to hear she had a new colleague, the pink-haired girl's mood instantly brightened. Humming a little tune, she pushed open her door planning to return the magic she had just absorbed to Jiangxi. But the moment she stepped inside, she saw what looked like a flasher casually lounging on her sofa sipping tea. She froze completely dump truck. Then without warning, she fainted on the spot. Amy O sighed helplessly. For a girl like her, this was a bit too much of a shock. Later, when Jiangxi casually explained that he was only staying there to take care of his younger sister, a temporary recruit, the pink-haired girl actually believed it, proving just how naive she was. She even patted her chest with determination and declared, "I'll make sure to teach your sister proper combat magic so she can become a qualified magical girl as soon as possible." John C.I. snapped, "You couldn't even beat that monster yourself, and you think my sister who actually won needs your guidance? Just don't hold us back next time." The pink-haired girl fumed, "Why, you're not even a magical girl. What do you know?" Jiangxi replied calmly, "I've watched your battles. All of you just spam long-range magic, but monsters usually have magic shields. So you end up running them all over the city until the shield wears down, then finish them off. But you should have noticed the shield only blocks magic, not physical force. So why not infuse magic energy into a physical weapon and strike the monster directly?" The pink-haired girl's eyes lit up. "So it can be done like that?" Amy Al blurted out. "This guy looked like he only knew brute force, but he's actually got brains?" Of course, Jiangxi immediately rewarded him with another fist of love. Just then, the dormitory phone rang. It was a call from the bureau. They reported that the damage assessment from the monster attack was complete, and the magical girls who had fought needed to come verify the results on site. The pink-haired girl was stunned. Damage reports usually take several days. Why is it so fast this time? She turned her head only to find Jiangxi gone, replaced by a so-called little sister who had suddenly appeared. Jiangxi casually lied, "My brother had something to do. Let's head out quickly." The pink-haired girl glanced at Jiangxi's transformed form. He looked much smaller like this. Who would have thought that rough guy actually had such a cute little sister? She couldn't resist and reached out to pinch Jiangxi's cheek. Jiangxi's asked blankly, "What are you doing?" Flustered, the pink-haired girl quickly let go. "Sorry, my body moved on its own." At the disaster site, the official in charge handed them the damage report and asked both to sign for confirmation. Jiangxi skimmed the list and asked, "Does this report include a scooter and a computer?" The official replied, "Those items are too cheap. They're not counted." "I see." Jiangxi's expression darkened as he passed the list to the pink-haired girl. Then, without warning, he drove a blade straight into the official's body. The truth was revealed. The official had long been parasitized by monster. The so-called damage confirmation was nothing more than a trap, bait to lure magical girls straight into danger. Jiangxi realized the truth because the real owner of that face had already died right in front of him once before. The monster before him was none other than his computer mutated into a beast. Within its domain, the lust of all living creatures would be forcibly magnified, reducing them into mindless lumps of flesh, driven only by the urge to mate before being absorbed into the monster's body. Even killing it twice had done nothing, because within the monster's form, countless different characters resided. As Jiangxi looked closer, a chill ran down his spine. The faces the monster had manifested were all characters from the comics he had drawn in the past. He quickly freed the pink-haired girl from the tentacles binding her. At that moment, Jiangxi understood some monsters were indeed born from mutated everyday objects, and this one, without a doubt, was his very own computer turned into a nightmare. Since he now knew the monster was his mutated computer, that meant, after subtracting the two he had already slain, there were still 1,215 characters left. If he destroyed all of them, the true body would eventually reveal itself. After a brutal and exhausting battle, Jiangxi finally finished off the computer beast. Along with it vanished his youth and his dreams. Back at the dorm, Amio explained that it had been an A-class aberrant at a S, for why it could open a domain that would have to be reported to the Bureau for investigation. After absorbing the monster's magic, Jiangxi's power surged, raising him straight to Bud Stage 1. Staring at the object in his hand, he frowned. "Why does this broken sandbag look like this? And what the hell is Bud Stage 1? The pink-haired girl quickly explained, "You just absorbed the magic of that calamity. The magical heart evolves in form as your power rises. The Bureau uses this to rank magical girls in 5 levels: seed, bud, leaf, budding, and flower, each with 3 stages. I raise a brow. You actually know quite a lot. The pink-haired girl puffed up proudly. Of course, I scored full marks in magical theory. Jiangxi twirled the magical heart in his hand and muttered, feels even handier to throw than a staff. Can this thing unleash full power like one? The pink-haired girl and Amy Al panicked immediately. Wait, no. If you try that, you'll blow the entire dorm into the sky. 2 days later, a helicopter descended right in front of their dorm. From its stepped the cold, aloof blonde girl. Her name was Yi Lin, the daughter of the richest man alive and a magical girl herself. Adjusting his glasses, her bodyguard barked. We notified this station well in advance. How dare you not come out to greet her? In the next second, Yi Lin stomped him into the ground. Idiot. Who told you to announce my arrival? I came here specifically to see how these commoner magical girls train in their daily lives. Yi Lin strode into the dormitory only to find Jiangxi and the pink-haired girl doing physical exercises. She immediately stopped them. As magical girls, your daily focus should be on magical study, not pointless physical training. Jiangxi shot her a look. And who are you, barging in a private property? Yi Lin's bodyguard bristled. How dare you? They don't even know who are Lady Island. But within moments, Jiangxi had taught him a painful lesson. Defeated, the bodyguard stammered. We notified you yesterday. Jiangxi turned to the pink-haired girl. Where's Amy Al? She whispered back. It's been holed up in its room since yesterday. Hasn't come out. Once. Meanwhile, Amy Al was still busy fighting in the canyon, completely unaware that a brutal beating awaited him. Sure enough, after Jiangxi gave him a thrashing, Amy Al finally admitted his mistake. I stayed up all night playing ranked matches, so I missed a message from headquarters. I was wrong. I deserve to die. Meow. Hearing that he had once again delayed work because of gaming, Jiangxi was ready to teach him an even harsher lesson, but the pink-haired girl quickly stepped in. Forget it. Mr. Amy Al already knows he was wrong, so let's give him another chance. Watching this scene, Yulin couldn't help but feel a strange vibe. It almost looked like a little family of 3. She slammed the table, silencing everyone. Then she stated her purpose directly. I am Yulin, budding stage 1.2 days ago. You slew an A-class at Barrett. Headquarters now believes you have some potential. I've been sent to form you into a new task force. Establishing a task force was essentially a promotion. From now on, they wouldn't just protect this district. If disasters broke out elsewhere, they would also be dispatched. Of course, a newly formed task force had to pass a combat assessment from headquarters first. Yulin, ever the aloof one, scoffed inwardly, eye in her eyes with Jiangxi and the pink-haired girl's level of strength. They would never pass such a test. From the very beginning, she had no intention of truly relying on them. Dragging them along was just for show. At the combat assessment grounds of the Bureau's 4th District, the examiner reviewed their files. 1 leaf, stage 2, 1 bud, stage 1, and a supposed support healer. This lineup can't possibly pass the test, she said, advising Yulin to come back after leveling up. Yulin, however, replied coldly. I don't have time to babysit them, but I'll handle this assessment myself. The other 2 can. Just sit back and watch. Without further delay, the examiner summoned 3 mutant beasts. Yulin struck a pose and told Jiangxi and the pink-haired girl, stay back and watch closely. This is how a real magical girl fights. But just as Yulin finished her transformation, and was about to give them a proper demonstration, Jiangxi had already wiped out all 3 beasts in the blink of an eye. The examiner froze for a moment, then promptly handed over the documents, congratulating them on becoming an official squad. Yulin, however, felt no joy at all. After all, she had just boasted about showing them what a real magical girl looked like in combat. The memory of it burned her with shame. That line she prepared so carefully for her big moment had been completely wasted. Jiangxi's ability to slay 3 B-class mutants instantly with just Bud. Stage 1 power drew the examiner's suspicion. Under the guise of congratulating them on officially forming a squad, she clasped Jiangxi's hand, secretly locking him in place. Her magic quietly spread outward, blasting apart Jiangxi's clothes in an attempt to expose his true identity, yet she found nothing. All the expected female traits were present. The examiner's sudden action infuriated Yulin. Embarrassing as Jiang had been earlier, he was still her teammate now. She demanded an explanation for such behavior. The examiner brushed it off, claiming residual magic from the earlier summoning circle had leaked out and caused the accident. But Jiangxi knew better. This was no accident. It was a deliberate inspection. His risk of exposure was greater than he had imagined. As the 3 left, the examiner's suspicion remained. She had clearly detected something unusual in Jiangxi's magical signature. Though she didn't yet know why, she couldn't rule out the possibility that he had found a way to conceal his male body. The matter was too important. She resolved to keep Jiangxi under close watch. 10 days later, at a bustling harbor. Following the coordinates Amy Al had sent, Jiang Ci and the pink-haired girl arrived to carry out their mission. At 9:34 p.m., a sudden voice from behind startled the pink-haired girl. It was Yi Lin, frowning in displeasure. We agreed on 9 sharp that you're 34 minutes and 22 seconds late. Didn't Amy Al tell you how difficult this mission would be? Jiang Ci glanced at the pink-haired girl in confusion. Didn't Amy Al say 10? She looked equally baffled. And we weren't told what the mission even island. Yulin sighed helplessly, convinced this family was utterly unreliable. Forget it. There's no time to argue that I'll explain once we're on board. She led Jiang Ci and the pink-haired girl toward a massive cruise ship. Pulling out 3 tickets, Yilin handed them over. The trio boarded, greeted by a lively atmosphere. In the grand hall, men and women danced gracefully. On the deck, little girls held tightly to their wealthy-looking parents' hands, clearly no ordinary passengers. The trio entered the dining hall, and Yilin finally briefed them on the situation. The cruise ship they were on had actually exploded and sunk into the ocean 20 years ago. At the time, all 2,616 passengers perished, a disaster that shocked the entire world, remembered as the Four Seasons tragedy. In other words, this ship should not even exist in the present world. That's why the Bureau suspected a connection to monsters and dispatched the 3 of them to investigate. Yilin continued. After receiving reports of the ship's appearance, the Bureau already sent investigators, but every single one vanished after boarding the So. This time, we were ordered to come directly. If we find signs of a calamity, we destroy it on the spot. Remember, it could take any form. Aboard this vessel, objects, furniture, food, even the drinks. But before she even finished her warning, Jiang Ci had already downed a glass of wine in one gulp. Enraged, Yulin grabbed him by the throat. Spit it out now. Unfortunately, Jiang Ci had already swallowed it, and there was no bringing it back. Jiang Ci calmly remarked, "This doesn't taste like wine. It's cola." Yulin leaned in to sniff, and indeed it was cola. Jiang Ci shrugged. "We don't have any useful intel yet. Sitting here won't help that. Let's check out the rest of the ship." The 3 of them wandered aimlessly through the cruise liner. There had never been a recorded calamity of such massive, complex scale, and the fact that people seemed to be living normally aboard only made things feel even stranger. The ship almost felt too normal. Just then, a suspicious sign caught their eyes that it read, "If you're ready to ascend to heaven, come on in." With something that's sketchy, the trio had no choice but to investigate. What they found inside was a spa, where Yulin and the pink-haired girl were immediately surrounded by radiant holy light during their treatment. Details better left unspoken. Later, when interviewed about the experience, Yulin admitted, "I wanted to shout and refuse, but it felt way too good." After the unexpected spa session, the group returned to their room planning to rest up before resuming their mission. Yulin sternly lectured the pink-haired girl, "We're not here on vacation. Take this investigation seriously." Jiang Ci shot her a death glare. "Funny, wasn't you screaming the loudest during that spa session?" Yilin coughed awkwardly. "Ahem, enough of that. Just get some sleep." While taking off her coat, she instructed, "You 2 will take turns keeping watch during the first half of the night. The second half is when fatigue sets in, and when a calamity is most likely to strike. That'll handle that shift." The pink-haired girl tugged gently at Jiang Ci's sleeve and whispered shyly, "See, can we sleep together? This ship feels way too strange that I am scared." As a man of principle, Jiang Ci's first instinct was to refuse, yet somehow, he still ended up as her human pillow. And just as luck, at that exact moment, something rose up. The truth was simple. His transformation time limit had run out. Jiang Ci had already tested this before. His transformation could only last a maximum of 23 hours, and afterward, he needed at least 1 hour before he could transform again. For now, the only option was to hide out in the bathroom until the gap passed. But fate wasn't kind. He accidentally knocked the cup off the sink. The sharp clatter woke Yi Lin instantly. Seeing Jiang Ci missing from the room, she thought darkly that brat really ditched his watch duty. She headed to the bathroom ready to lecture him, but inside she found only a cup lying on the floor, no sign of Jiang Ci. Just as confusion set in, a towel drifted down from above. Looking up, Yilin froze that a naked man was clinging to the ceiling like Spider-Man. Before she could scream, Jiang Ci leapt down and pinned her to the floor. With a swift chop to the neck, he knocked her unconscious. An hour later, Yilin frantically tried to explain to Jiang Ci there really was some perverted flasher. "He snuck into our room, knocked me out, and dragged me here." Jiang Ci replied flatly, "Funny, when I found you, you were just lying there asleep. Are you sure you weren't sleepwalking?" That shook Yilin's confidence. Her clothes have been changed too. Could she really have been sleepwalking? Or was it the influence of a calamity? To stop her from overthinking, Jiang Ci quickly changed the subject, saying he noticed something strange about the ship's men's restrooms. Every single men's room on this ship has only stalls, no urinals. Yi Lin's attention shifted. She thought for a moment. Maybe the calamity doesn't fully understand human facilities that could explain it. Jiangxi shook his head, but everything else on this ship is recreated perfectly. And think back to that glass of wine. It tasted exactly like cola, which means the creature must have encountered cola, but mistakenly thought that was what wine tasted like. Yulin froze, realization dawning. Men's rooms without urinals that basically makes them women's rooms. Could it be this calamity has only ever seen women's restrooms? And so just then, a man and woman passed by the two of them. Suddenly, the woman collapsed to the ground, crying hysterically. Every day, it's always the same. When will it end? But instead of comforting her, the man kept urging, smile, hurry, and smile. Jiangxi glanced around and realized that everyone walking past them was wearing the same fixed, eerie smile. Yulin recognized the couple and whispered, they were investigators sent by the Bureau 3 years ago. At that moment, the sobbing woman suddenly spat out a glob of frothy bubbles. Her eyes went vacant, and her mouth uncontrollably began to sing a nursery rhyme. Her body twisted unnaturally like a warped plastic doll, the rhyme continuing on loop. Strangely, the other passengers acted as if nothing unusual had happened. Some even scoffed, serves her right for not smiling. In seconds, the woman's body fully transformed into a broken doll. Her head rolled across the floor, yet the eerie nursery song still echoed from her mouth. Yulin quickly approached the surviving bureau man to make contact. The man turned his head toward Yulin, his expression unhinged. After 12 hours aboard, you become bound to this ship. From then on, you must smile. You must stay happy, or you'll end up like her. As he spoke, the woman who had turned into a doll finally shattered, scattering into fragments that drifted away into the air. The man himself soon broke in a madness, shouting at the top of his lungs, I am so happy, I am so joyful. Jiangxi glanced down and spotted a slip of paper on the ground. Written on it were the words, open the engine room at the bottom deck. Exchanging a look with Yilin, he immediately headed for the lowest level of the ship. When they pushed open the heavy door, both of them froze in shock. Inside, enormous gears churned and roared, and driving those gears forward was a herd of sunshine rainbow ponies. Yulin gasped in disbelief. What even is this? Jiangxi's face remained deadpan. What else could it be? Sunshine rainbow ponies. That's from an anime that was insanely popular over a decade ago. Pretty much every kid back then watched it. Suddenly, Yulin spotted a slip of paper with strange symbols stuck to the wall. Compelled by instinct, she tore it down. Unfolding it, she realized it was an investigation report left behind by the missing agents. The report read, the 11th of July at night. Following Bureau orders, we boarded this suspicious vessel to begin our investigation. At first, everything seemed normal, but at midnight, the ship's broadcast announced a rule. Everyone must keep smiling. Everyone must enjoy the voyage. Those who don't will not be welcome. It didn't take long before we learned what not being welcome truly meant. Prior to our arrival, the Bureau conducted a magical scan of this area, confirming no calamity above a class could exist here. But this ship is clearly a domain created by an S-class calamity. Only within a domain can such impossible rules exist. The investigators stayed hidden and kept watching, soon uncovering even more inconsistencies on the ship. Flaws left behind because the calamity didn't fully understand the human world when shaping this domain. All the passengers were real people. Some were survivors from the original shipwreck, while others were ordinary civilians who had wandered aboard later out of curiosity. Trapped in this endless voyage, everyone was utterly exhausted, yet too afraid to show it. Even a careless word could trigger the punishment of being deemed unwelcome. These irregular punishments outside the official rule were clearly the calamity's direct interventions from long observation. The investigators concluded the calamity's true body was hiding among the passengers in human form. After finishing the report, Jiangxi smirked. Human form? That fills in the last piece of the puzzle. The cola wine, the restrooms, the engine room. The monster is that little girl we saw. Yilin frowned. Isn't that conclusion a little too hasty? Jiangxi answered without hesitation. In creepy scenarios like this, if a random little girl shows up, she's definitely the problem. That's common sense. Yilin blinked, baffled. Since when was that common sense? Jiangxi rolled his eyes. You just haven't seen enough, rookie. Jiangxi glanced at the time. It was exactly 11 p.m., 1 hour before the rule kicks in. And let's move that I am not fighting with a forced smile on my face. Yilin hesitated. Shouldn't we wake Jingyu first? We're still not completely sure. Maybe we should verify the little girl's identity before making a move. Jiangxi smirked confidently. Relax. I've already come up with a foolproof way to test it. Meanwhile, on the deck, the little girl appeared with her parents tugging at their sleeves. Daddy, Mommy, I want to go play on the slide again. Her mother gently refused. It's too late, sweetheart. That we'll play tomorrow. At that moment, someone tapped the father lightly on the shoulder. Turning around, he saw Jiangxi holding something out. You dropped your wallet, Jiang. See, I said. After returning it, Jiangxi added casually, by the way, could I ask you a small favor? Pointing at himself and Yulin, he said with a straight face, "We're magical girls." The couple froze, baffled by the sudden declaration. Jiangxi then pointed directly at the little girl. "I suspect your daughter is the Calamity. May I run a check on her?" Yi Lin's face burned with embarrassment. Does this brat even understand what the word clever means? While the father was still confused, Jiangxi suddenly grabbed her by the collar and hurled him backward. At that exact moment, a chain lashed out from behind. Had Jiangxi not acted, the man would have been ensnared. Jiangxi had guessed correctly. The little girl was indeed the Calamity, and the chain was her manifested weapon. Without hesitation, Jiangxi barked into his earpiece. "Target at position 13. Engage." The pink-haired girl received the command and instantly locked onto the coordinates. A violent strike hammered down on the Calamity's location. With a deafening roar, a column of searing fire shot into the night sky. Meanwhile, at the docks, the examiner stood beside a woman named Xiaoyan, watching from afar. Xiaoyan squinted. "They've already started fighting, and you're still suspicious of that flat-chested runt? So he kills monsters a bit faster. A big deal that I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Besides, I told you already, the Bureau's magic detection software is full of bugs. You actually believe that junk?" The examiner smiled faintly. "It's not the detection results I am relying on. It's his fighting style. He didn't use magic charge spells. Instead, he forced magic directly into his own cells, gaining strength and speed far beyond human limits. Then, with that enhanced body, he struck the Calamity physically. That's how he pulled off an easy cross-dire kill." Xiaoyan's eyes widened in shock. Forcing magic into one's cells, that's impossible. A human body can't withstand that, unless it's a Calamity's body, which naturally has resistance to magic. The examiner's smile faded. "Don't forget the Bureau's experiments. Any male forced to host a magical core eventually undergoes Calamity transformation." Her gaze turned dark, her voice low. The contractor's prophecy, it might be real after all. On the cruise ship, the Calamity, forced back into its true form, screamed, "Why do you have to destroy happiness?" Jiangxi ignored its cries and struck without hesitation. A streak of violet light shot forth at light speed, tearing through the Calamity's body. From the rubble, Yulin dragged herself out, fuming. "That brat? Was he trying to kill us along with it?" Meanwhile, back at the docks, the examiner pointed toward the ship. "Only in desperation can the truth be revealed. Xiaoyan, awaken your blood." Xiaoyan sliced her finger, flinging droplets of blood that quickly formed a ritual circle. In the next moment, the circle manifested right before Jiangxi's. His magic was stripped away in an instant. His magical girl transformation collapsed and he plummeted from the sky. The pink-haired girl cried out, darting upward to catch him in her arms. Even so, the two of them crashed hard onto the deck. Before they could recover, the Calamity's chain lashed out, whipping toward them with deadly force. At the critical moment, a penguin suddenly appeared, exhaling a blast of icy breath that froze the incoming chain solid. Yulin frowned but still asked with concern, "How's that, Brad? Is he okay?" The pink-haired girl looked down and gasped when she noticed a strange sigil glowing on Jiangxi's chest. This is a magical girl's array. Don't tell me he's actually..." Yulin cut her off, barking orders. "The Calamity's starting to recover. That brat just had a choke of the best of 4. Worst time. Forget it. Shout, you freeze it. Let the cat loose to burn it." The Calamity's body began to shed layers of black matter, slowly reverting back into the form of a little girl. The penguin leapt high, unleashing a torrent of frost toward her. The Calamity raised her hands, forming a protective barrier just in time. The shield managed to block the frost, but a gunshot rang out as Yulin fired a bullet straight into it, cracking its surface. At the same time, she summoned a small cat, which immediately spewed flames, searing against the barrier. Yulin blew across the barrel of her gun and smirked. "That shield might block magic, but can it block scalding steam?" Shrouded by the superheated mist, the Calamity shrieked in agony. Domain release. In an instant, the magical girls felt reality tear apart, as though the very sky itself was splitting open. The luxury cruise liner, which had seemed to sail across the ocean, suddenly warped back into its true form, a sunken wreck lying at the bottom of the sea. With the domain collapsing, Yi Lin and the pink-haired girl plunged helplessly into the icy depths. Watching from the docks, the examiner mused with intrigue. Interesting. This Calamity's domain is unique. It reconstructed the sunken ship and its surroundings, tricking those inside into believing they were aboard a normal voyage, when in reality, they were already at the bottom of the ocean, and like a mirage, it projected that false image onto the surface, luring outsiders to approach. The moment they stepped in, they were transported straight to the seafloor without even realizing it. Xiaoyan finally understood and scoffed. "So that's why there was nothing on the water earlier, yet you stared so intently. You were using clairvoyance," she hesitated, frowning. "But are you sure this is safe? That supposed male body you're suspicious of still hasn't revealed itself, and now the entire squad might end up buried with him." The examiner spoke calmly. "Keep watching. It's not over yet. Deep beneath the sea in the wrecked shadow, a woman leaned over Jiang's eye, her lips pressed near his neck, as if feeding on something. She extended her tongue to show him and explained, I am drawing out the stuff clogging your body. There was a sealing array suppressing your magic. That's why you suddenly lost all your power. Feeling strength slowly return, Jiangxi asked, Are you one of the Bureau's investigators? The woman nodded lightly. I was part of the squad from 5 years ago. I remember there was a child in the Bureau back then. Her blood could bind itself to any magic array and activate it whenever needed. Technically, that ability was meant to be used only against calamities. Jiangxi's mind flashed back to his own exam, when the examiner had touched him. That must have been when the array was planted into his body. But the strangest part was just like last time. Even after losing his magic, he hadn't reverted to his true form. It was then that he noticed the respirator strapped over his mouth. Shocked, he blurted out, Wait, we're at the bottom of the sea. Venue. The woman cut him off with a wry smile. Finally figured it out? I don't need that because I am already dead. What you see is nothing more than a revenant recreated by the calamity's magic that, of course, if I want, I can still take physical form and touch the living. Jiangxi's eyes narrowed. So you belong to that monster. Then why save me? The woman spoke softly. Don't worry. Out of its twisted amusement, the calamity left me with my original memories. So I still have my own will. The living who board this ship are nothing more than fodder. Fatigue every midnight broadcast. Their flesh and blood are devoured, leaving only beings like me, revenants. When we tilted with 30 for Marcus, first became revenants. None of us realized it. But over time, the truth becomes impossible to ignore, though some still cling to denial, refusing to believe they've already died. Even as revenants, we remain bound by the domain's rules that we still fear annihilation. And so trapped in endless cycles of pain, we continue to bow to that calamity. Her tone darkened, but we've had enough that we want release. You've just been sealed. You need external magic to recover, and we are magic itself. Take us with you and kill that calamity. In that moment, countless revenants emerged from the wrecked shadows, stretching out their hands as streams of magic flowed into Jiangxi. One by one, they knelt, voices trembling in unison. O Lord, if you will it, take us back into your being. Let us become part of your strength. Our God, our Master, show us your miracle, and lead us into the next journey. The calamity gazed at the ruined cruise ship in the distance, grinning wickedly. No need to rush. Once I reclaim all your magic, I'll reopen my domain. After all, I am the god who brings happiness to this world. But before it could finish, Jiangxi appeared silently behind it. Without hesitation, he swung his fist with devastating force. The blow sent the calamity hurtling several meters, crashing hard against the shattered deck of the wreck. From the gaping hole, revenants peered out in shock. Their eyes widened in disbelief. The god they had once worshipped was struck down as they felt their magic being drawn away. Instead of despair, they cheered with fervor. Our Lord needs us. Take it. Take it all, my God. Even while draining their power, the calamity snarled in disgust. So noisy, worthless insects, its voice rose into a furious roar. I should never have let you keep your memories. Sneak attacks while I am distracted. This time, I won't show mercy. Suddenly, the steel rod drove straight through the calamity's hand. It screamed in agony, only realizing what happened after the rod was pulled free. Just as it tried to resist, Jiangxi stomped hard on its hand, pinning it to the ground. His voice was cold and sharp. 2 questions. First, what is your true form? Second, where are the 2 women who came with me? Tears welled in the calamity's eyes as it stammered. Teach, this is my true form. 15 years ago, I boarded this ship with my parents. When a wreck happened, I somehow turned into this 2M. Why parents died. So before it could finish, Jiangxi rammed another steel rod into its abdomen, blood spraying violently. Jiangxi sneered. Do you take me for a fool? Real children don't think cruise ships are pulled by rainbow ponies. They don't call strangers their parents, and they sure as hell don't surrender this easily. Enough games. Where are the 2 women? The calamity wailed. Before they drowned, a strange light engulfed them, and then they vanished. I swear it's the truth. Jiangxi's eyes narrowed at polite. Could it have been a teleportation array? But before he could dwell on it, the calamity's body merged completely with a ruined cruise ship. Its grin twisted with triumph. But you won't be so lucky. Under the surge of its magic, the shattered wreck rapidly regenerated, restored to its former grandeur in an instant. At the same time, Jiangxi was violently expelled, hurled out from the ship's deck. The calamity's voice thundered. You had 2 chances to kill me. Too bad. You wasted them both. Now that I've fused fully with my vessel, you've lost all hope, foolish human. Jiangxi landed hard, muttering coldly to himself. Yi Lin's theory was useless after all. The calamity extended a massive spectral hand pointing straight at him. Come on then. The entire ship groaned as it swung around. Its prow locked onto Jiangxi's eye as the calamity bellowed. Didn't you want to fight? Then fight my true body. This whole ship is me. Through her magic circle, the examiner observed Jiangxi's battle. So the wreck restoring itself wasn't a domain trick, it was its true body, that just set a new record for the largest calamity core ever. She frowned deeply, and even after losing his magic, he still keeps the female form. Could I really have been wrong? No, there's still something I am missing. Xiaoyan, I'll stay here and keep watching, that I've already transported the other two to the shore across the bay. Go question them. But Xiaoyan didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the scene ahead. The massive cruise ship suddenly burst up from the sea looming at the harbor. In the very next instant, it crashed down with earth-shattering force, smashing into the docks. The stolen magic began leaking away from the calamity, dissipating into the air. The creature collapsed on the ground, its face twisted with disbelief. How? How can such a monster exist? Jiang Xi strode forward and planted his boot firmly on its back. Panic flashed in the calamity's eyes. Wait, don't kill me. I still have value. I can serve you. I can. Before it could finish, Jiang Xi drove a steel rod straight through its body. His face remained impassive as he muttered coldly. Same line as the last monster. Don't waste my screen time. Jiang Xi gazed at the distant sunset. His thoughts steadied. If it really was a teleportation spell, the two of them shouldn't be far. Died better, find them first. Meanwhile, on the beach, the pink-haired girl sat collapsed in the sand sobbing. I saw him sink with my own eyes. I couldn't catch Xiao Ci in time sob. Yulin crossed her arms. Sign. That brat arrogant, stupid, and a total bastard, but I guess he did have a few minor redeeming points. Just as their mood grew heavy, Jiang Xi suddenly strolled up casually in front of them. The two girls froze, then shrieked in terror. A G-ghost. Don't worry, Jiang Xi will burn you lots of paper money. Just rest in peace. In the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, a group of figures in heavy protective suits stood vigil around an enormous magic circle. Suddenly, the circle blazed with light, and a magical girl stepped forth from within. One of the suited staff immediately approached, bowing slightly. Commander, ma'am, the current time is the 19th of August to 2045, 06:13 a.m. The magical girl's eyes flickered as she murmured, at this point in the timeline, I should have just finished the battle with the cruise ship Calamity. She raised her head, gaze firm, and spoke with chilling resolve. Perfect. Commence the operation. After the cruise ship Calamity was dealt with, Yulin invited Jiang Xi and the red-haired girl over to her home. On the plane, the redhead pressed her face against the window, marveling. Wow, this is amazing. So this is what it feels like to fly. Everything looks so clear from up here. Meanwhile, Jiang Xi sat quietly, lost in thought. Ever since the cruise ship incident, I still get forced back in my male form for 1 hour each day. But for the other 23 hours, whether I cancel the transformation myself or run out of magic, my body reverts only to a demagicked female form, never back to my real self. The red-haired girl's voice snapped him out of it. That neighborhood below looks so pretty. Shaolin, is that where you live? Yulin's bodyguard smirked proudly. Neighborhood? Such a limited imagination from common folk. That's no neighborhood. This entire stretch of land belongs to the young lady. This is the Yi family estate. Jiang Xi blinked in confusion, turning to Yilin. Didn't you say your dad invited us to dinner and we were supposed to buy clothes first? Why are we going straight to your place? Yilin answered matter-of-factly. Well, buy them in my family's shopping district. Jiang Xi froze, staring in disbelief. Wait, your house has its own shopping district. Soon, the group arrived at the Yi family estate's private shopping district, Fashion Street. Staff lined both sides of the road, bowing respectfully as Yulin passed. The sight left Jiang Xi and the red-haired girl completely dumbfounded. What kind of insane family wealth is this? Yulin explained casually. Going out is such a hassle, so I section off an area at home. That way, I can shop without ever leaving the house. Jiang Xi and the redhead both fell silent. Does she even understand what the word buy means? Yi clapped her hands, helped them out of their current clothes, and get them trying on outfits. Yes, miss. The staff responded in unison. The red-haired girl first tried on a traditional kipao. Yilin nodded. Not bad, though maybe a little too old-fashioned. She changed again, but Yulin's eyes widened. Way too revealing. Take it off. The third outfit was a flowing purple gown. Yulin examined her carefully, then smiled. Now, that looks good. Really suits you. Then almost offhandedly she asked, by the way, how's that brat doing? Before long, Jiang Xi was pushed out by the staff, now dressed in a sleek black dress. Yulin froze for a second, her inner voice slipping out. This brat dressed like this, he's actually kind of cute. She quickly cleared her throat, masking her reaction. Ahem. Anyway, since we're all set, let's head out. Bobby's already here. At that moment, Bobby was already drinking with Yulin's father. The old man laughed heartily. If every contractor had your sense of humor, the world would be a far livelier place. Bobby waved, humbly. No. When it comes to smooth talking, I've still got a lot to learn from an old hand like you. He leaned in slyly. By the way, think you could hook me up with some GM gear for my game account? That MMO's under your company's banner, isn't it? Just then, Yulin's father looked toward the doorway and grinned. Our city's little heroes have arrived. Yulin stomped her foot, flustered. Dad, I told you it's magical girls. Stop using that weird nickname. Her father strode over to Jiangxi, beaming and clasped his shoulder. You must be Jiangxi, the one who struck down the cruise ship Calamity. A real honor. Thank you so much for looking after my daughter. Lin puffed her cheeks bristling. What do you mean thank for taking care of her? Clearly, was the one taking care of them. Yi Lin's father suddenly bowed his head, his tone unusually solemn. But there's something I must confess to you. My true identity is, I am your fan, Si-chan. Ever since I first witnessed your heroic battle, I've been obsessed. Oh, and by the way, I am also the president of your official fan club. Before he could say more, Jiangxi drove his fist straight into the man's skull, slamming his head into the floor. Jiangxi muttered flatly, sorry, that was just way too disgusting, so I couldn't help myself. Yi Lin groaned, exasperated. Why are you rewarding him? Yet her father stood right back up, ignoring the wound on his forehead, and laughed gleefully. That punch, so fast like a missile. I didn't even see it coming before I was smashed into the ground. Amazing. Could you do it again? Jiangxi and the pink-haired girl blinked in confusion. What's a missile? Yulin sighed, waving it off. Don't mind him. Dad's always spouting nonsense we can't understand. But just then, Yulin's father grew uncharacteristically quiet, his smile fading. I remember now. This world has already chosen to forget. At the same time, inside the Bureau's top-secret facility, the S-Class Calamity Containment Institute, alarms blared. Warning. Intruder alert. Repeat. This is not a drill. Repeat. This is not a drill. Director Scioli snapped her head up, baffled. What's happening? A calamity breach? No. Impossible. Not even a calamity could reach here. A staffer suddenly cried out. Our report director, the intruder shows no signs of magic whatsoever. His voice trembled. It looks like just a normal human. She only froze in shock. A human? Impossible. This place is the S-Class Calamity Containment Institute, also known as the Lunar Calamity Prison, built on the very surface of the moon. And in the silence of outer space, a lone magical girl hovered in combat gear, her gaze icy. She whispered a single word, break. In the next instant, the Lunar Calamity Prison erupted in a cataclysmic explosion, fire and debris scattering across the void of space.
Alright, that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.